afternoon.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Chris, Daniel, how's it going?
Going awesome.
Going well, man.
I got a little, if I'm a little jittery, I got a little bit of adrenaline rush. Not just from the webinar, I always get these on the webinar, but I've got this dog, this guy right here. You see that little guy?
Yes.
A 4-pound dog. So like 5 minutes before I'm hopping on this webinar, he runs out of our door, and there is this horse in our backyard, like this dog that is big enough to be a horse, and my dog only has one instinct, which is attack. So my 4-pound dog is chasing this horse all around, and he's like nipping at it, and this dog is about ready to turn around and just open up a new one on my dog, and I'm chasing after him, and I finally just dive on my dog, and just like he's freaking out, and I get him, and then threw him in his cage, came up, and hopped on this webinar. So here we are. That's my story.
Heart of a lion.
But
I'm 5'7", so I align with your dog. You know.
Super excited about this webinar. We're going over some really cool stuff. So for anyone that doesn't know, Chris, maybe give yourself a little introduction, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been with Whissel Realty for 2 years, been COO for about 6 months. My background in real estate world was in inside sales for about 2.5, 3 years, was an agent for about 2 years, and been with Kyle now for the last 2. So that's my background. It's a lot of heavy being in the inside sales model. A lot of my focus is obviously focused on data and conversion rates, because in the inside sales world, that's all that really matters, and high volume of leads and converting them. So kind of applying that into my role here with Kyle's team, and just really, and Daniel and yourself, and just getting the data tuned up. It's kind of my big focus right now for them.
What kind of volume and units is Whissel team doing these days?
Yeah, so we're going for 600 units this year. That's the
Wow.
That's the goal. So we'll
Awesome.
we're tracked right now. We're at about 150 closed, and we have a big recruiting push right now. In Q2, we're looking to bring on about 20 agents in the next 2 months. So big push. We have a lot of leads to feed them, a lot of appointments to feed them, and then from there we'll kind of have a bigger Q2, Q3, and Q4 to go into that 600 units.
Big ISA push too, right? That's really become a core thing of what you guys are doing.
I'd say it's our hub, man. It's all of our leads and all of our business go through them, and then goes to our agents on the bottom end. So yeah, we have currently 4 ISAs, and we're looking to start 2 new ones on June 1st. So we'll have 6.
It's awesome. Me and Chris kind of have the same sickness. We've been on a couple of Zoom calls before where we're working with systems and Zapier and like APIs and all this stuff. And I told Chris one time, I said, I got this like sick part of me that kind of like likes this stuff, as much of a pain in the butt as it can be sometimes. It's fun to see the data move, and I get a lot of gratification out of just a clean dashboard, as I'm sure you do. So.
Yeah, it's fulfilling. It definitely, knowing it's right is fulfilling. When it's wrong, it's the most aggravating. So
drives you crazy. Yeah.
But led us to starting to work with Daniel to get that cleaned up.
Yeah, Daniel, I talk about you all the time in our sales calls. So for some people, it's like, oh, I finally get to meet this Daniel guy that Zach's always talking about. But tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
I actually started my career as a real estate agent. I was a commercial agent selling multifamily properties in the Los Angeles area. That was back in 2007, 2008. Absolute best time to get into real estate. So the market collapsed. I ended up playing online poker professionally for several years down on the beach in Mexico, which was awesome. And that kind of led me into what I'm doing now, which is like data science and data analytics. Started working with a real estate team in San Diego, actually, and kind of started building some of this stuff, and then started my own company, Real Estate Data Help, and we just build cool stuff for real estate teams.
I asked Daniel once, I was going to play poker with some buddies. I said, dude, give me, I think I texted you. I said, dude, give me 2 tips. They were raise often and don't call. Was that what it was? You gave me 2 tips. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, poker, it's much better to be aggressive, because if you're betting and raising, then you can win by having the best hand or by people folding. and you want to rarely call. Calling is not a profitable strategy in poker.
Interesting.
Well, I know what I'm doing now. Moving to Mexico and sitting on the beach. That sounds like my next calling.
Yeah, it was a pretty awesome couple of years.
It's awesome. So let's talk about this sales system. And I just got to, like, complete transparency here. Daniel and Chris, the system that you've built, and specifically what you're doing at Data Help, Daniel, it's so cool. I went and ripped it off and recreated it for the Sisu sales team. I said, this is absolutely genius. It doesn't exist for like a software sales team, but I was like, kind of started working that way. So what I love so much about what you're doing is it's a system that's not like, hey, if you click all the right buttons and do everything perfectly, everything goes good, right? Because we all know, and so many people design their system that way, and it's like, if you do everything right, then yeah, of course, everything goes the right way, right? But this system is really designed around how can you make it so you can't screw it up, right? Exactly. You literally click one button and do one thing, and that I call it bulletproofing your system, because there's just so much less that can go wrong, right? So
yeah, it's just agents have so much going on. Like, they're never going to remember to do everything they're supposed to do. So you have to make it easy for them.
This point, I mean, I was talking to you, Zach, and the one that introduced me to Daniel, but it was half of our coaching was upset with our agents for not doing the little things. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that they weren't closing enough deals. I mean, we always as leaders want them to close more deals, but truthfully, the biggest frustration is they weren't reporting their numbers. They didn't log their call. They didn't do this. It's like half of our arguments were about tracking things that we needed them to track, and all we want to do as leaders is give relevant coaching back to the agents, but we can't give anything but topical, theme of the day type training unless we have good data to support what we're seeing and what we're doing. And so that's really how this whole thing started. Was it's very exhausting to train, and you hired the right people, and they're bought in, and you're reprimanding someone that got into a business because they wanted unlimited freedom, freedom of schedule, that the average agent got into the business for a certain thing, not to be a data scientist or to do a lot of spreadsheets and tracking. And so I think what we just realized is that we were asking for something that we were never going to be able to get. And even if everyone had the best of intentions and we were running and gunning, we were still going to have stuff slip through the cracks. So it all started with, how do we take one source of truth, which is our CRM, and should be everyone's CRM, and make that, and I say source of truth, meaning Sisu feeds from Follow-Up Boss, call action feeds from everything feeds from Follow-Up Boss for us. So that is the one data record we need to have 100% accurate. And if that's accurate, the way that I went to use Zach, was, now how do I make, if that's accurate, everything else should be, and not have to transpose it to a new spot. And at the time we were using Forms and Sisu, which was doing a really great job for us getting things where they want. But the hardest part for lead source tracking we were having is an agent would put Boomtown as the lead source because that was our CRM. And really the lead source was Zillow. But in their mind, when they're filling it out and they're submitting their new pending, they're just submitting their new pending and they're going ahead and they're saying, oh, I did it in Boomtown, source done. They just want to get paid and move to the next client. And that's the reality. And I don't think that's anything to question. So then that's where we started working on these forms. And the whole thing, just to kind of give a high level overview, is to extrapolate what's already in the lead record of Follow-Up Boss as true, and only ask the agent questions that we can't already see that's in the CRM. And that way the forms are shorter, so they're not, rushing through them, and it's only the relevant information that we need to go into all of our systems.
Exactly.
What I like, and we'll actually get into some screen sharing here, Chris, right? And show what this is, but making it extremely easy for the agent, because in reality they should be focused on selling, not doing what you want them to do so that your dashboard looks pretty, right? Although that's important too, but selling is first, right? But the most, in my opinion, the most critical part of the sales funnel, where you can lose the most money and where training matters the most, is when you get a hot lead and you set an appointment. And so did that appointment happen? If not, we need to go figure out and reschedule it, right? If it was a no-show. And if it did happen, what was the result? Did we win the business there or not? Or do we need to apply an action plan? So, a lot of Tom Ferry coaches always talk about this: set, met, signed, right? If you have really solid processes right there around what happens with appointments, how do you handle appointments, and how you make sure you're not having no-shows, how do you make sure you can train agents and improve their win rates on those appointments? In my opinion, that's probably the most important, Dad. That most of your processes should revolve probably around that. And that's what you've done with these forms, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a lot of times we were missing, in the example I gave before where they submit the wrong lead source, that was just one of the like 30 frustrations we were having. But another one is, why would an agent fill out an appointment set for a self-gen lead for a Sphere? They're just going to go meet them at the coffee shop or at the bar or at their house, and they're not going to put that in there. So now I don't even know that they're productive, right? I'm coaching them to be busier, and they're in meetings, but they're not tracking it because there's no reason for them to go into Sisu or go into, at least for us, they weren't doing it. And we knew that only 50% or less of the time they were uploading set, met, signed. Unless it was a listing, we'd get assigned. But even our VIP buyers, which is our unique buyers agreement that we have with our reward system, no one was filling them out. So we had no idea to those metrics we needed to coach. It looked to us that everyone was just really good at close. We had like 200% closing rates on our signed on most of our categories historically, meaning we were closing deals that had no prior pipeline into Sisu.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's challenging enough to get agents to go into their CRM. But asking them to go into their CRM and some other place or multiple places, just becomes impossible. So ideally you want everything within their CRM for agents.
Let's pull up an example here, Chris, and just show like if I'm an agent on Whissel Team or I'm an ISA on Whissel Team and I set an appointment, like what do I do and what all is happening? And I love how you've simplified it. It's been a lot of work on your end. I know you've spent a lot of time working on it. Daniel spent a lot of time working on it, but now for your agents, it's simple stuff. So
yeah, let's go see if I can figure out how to share screen here. Window. Oh, they make it super easy.
Sweet. So I'm gonna add this to the stream. So Whissel Team uses Follow-Up Boss, and this is going to connect to Sisu. But let's focus on the Follow-Up Boss part first.
Yeah. So this is just a simple lead record inside of Follow-Up Boss for us. In Follow-Up Boss, you have custom fields. So what I like and why I work with Follow-Up Boss is the ability to customize everything. If I can customize everything, I can partner with Sisu, Daniel, and these types of softwares and make it work the way I need it to work. So that's why we use it. And then we just embed the links right in here. So we're a little bit unique. We have more, so our ops department goes, but when our agent goes ahead and takes a new appointment or an ISA, they go ahead and click this appointment link right there in the CRM. And they fill it out, normal lead record. They're going to answer lead type. So we want to know if it's a buyer, seller, or buyer-seller. So when they fill out buyer-seller or buyer-seller, if it's both, this will create two transactions in Sisu, a buyer and a seller one, if they choose buyer-seller. And it will choose, obviously, just buyer or seller if they only do one of those two. And then the lead ID is just automatically in there from Daniel. And then we put in was an ISA or an OSA set appointment. So that's a bit, again, back to tracking. I want to know the appointment rates for who's setting appointments for who. Now that's trackable because it's in a static form here. Like there's a lot of further down the road stuff I can get from just knowing that. But it also marks that in Sisu as an appointment set by ISA. So now this makes all of our ISA dashboards in Sisu accurate. OSA, same thing. We choose which appointment, which agent's going on that appointment right here from the form. If it's an ISA set appointment, they also put their name, so it goes into Sisu. Then they'll fill out appointment date, so when it's going to be. What's nice about this, if it was historical in the past, if they need to catch it up, it logs it in Sisu, so Sisu stays accurate still, but it doesn't send a calendar invite. But if it's in the future, what it'll go ahead and do is it actually sends out a Google Calendar invite from Follow-Up Boss automatically. And I'll get to that.
That is so critical. I think you're going to go into that a little more.
I'm going to go into the automation side of it in just a second. I'll try to slow myself down. This part gets me excited. This is the hardest part. I was really good on the phone. I needed to talk to 5-6 people. If I talked to 5-6 people, one of them were going to be a signed agreement. I knew that when I was calling. The problem is that I had so much other stuff to do that I wasn't on the phone enough to hit the results that I wanted to hit all the time. And so it was like an 8, 9, 10 click process just to set an appointment in that system and what our system was before this. We preset our appointment locations with static places that we often meet our buyers at, and then it can also pull from the lead record if they have a seller address or the inquiry address in Follow Up Boss. That's going to go ahead and be on the property they actually requested, or Zoom and phone, and that's there. Then just as a Google Calendar invite, we put in a normal copy. Look forward to meeting you. It was great talking with you. Look forward to meeting, you know, our agent, Louis, whatever there. And then they fill out the disc thing and additional notes. Now, I didn't fill out buyer, so this isn't actually showing. On a buyer section, there's actually more info, so you can create the deal. So for us, we put in what's their home search range. And if you're using Sisu to track transactions in your pipeline, this actually goes ahead and puts in there that deal value, so we can start to estimate each of our agents' pipelines. Again, those are little things in Sisu that are great that we never used, because who on an appointment set's filling out 40 lines of stuff? But if we can ask for it in a different way, we can scrape that information and start to build the things in Sisu that we like to have them look at. So once they fill that out, it goes ahead and goes here right in the lead record. This is my test lead, so you'll see a lot of them here. And you'll see right here. So actually that's agreement, appointment form. So it's very simple on the appointment form. It'll put the notes if they have them. This is actually a bad test lead because I don't have the notes in there. Here's an ISA one. Any notes they put, we have a templated one, and Daniel's actually about to roll out. This is just ours. We're actually going to add some more fields so it's more standardized for our agents. That's one recent improvement we noticed is, hey, this note section begins to be a little bit of a free-for-all. And really, if we have 40, 50, 60 agents and 6 different ISAs setting, we want our agent to see the same thing every time, not one ISA does it this way, the other that way. So we're actually revamping this right now. But when that form fills out, it goes ahead and creates a deal right here. And actually, let me just fill one out. I'll just do a quick one so you can actually see what it does. Notice deals is empty right now and appointments is empty. And then stage, let's put as C, and we'll put the agent as Rachel right now, which is one of my ISAs. I'll actually show you fully what this does. And collaborators is me right now. So those are things to notice. We're gonna fill this one out real quick. And that's the real automation side of it to speed the workflow up, not just tracking.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of people and they say, oh man, this is another thing for my agents to do is fill out this form. It's not, it's the only thing that they do.
It reduces. Yeah. It gets better tracking and reduces the amount of work, which is kind of, you wouldn't expect that.
Yeah, because you can essentially consolidate everything to the form, because the form can trigger anything in Follow Up Boss and then any system outside of Follow Up Boss. So the data only needs to be entered on the form.
Yeah, like even, you know, if I set an appointment with somebody, I was the bare minimum I was probably going to do before was at least put it into my Google Calendar so I don't forget about it, right? So just that, right? That was something I had to do before, where now I'm just putting it into this form. This is nice because it's the path of least resistance, right? It's just once you learn how to use these forms and they're so simple. The other thing I love about this is the headache of training goes down so much, because Chris, let's say you wanted to change you wanted to go to your team and say, hey, when we set an appointment, we're going to add this tag instead of that tag. Rather than going and training 50 agents on this new tag that they have to add, you just switch the automation. Their process stays exactly the same. If you're not a new agent, you don't have to train them to do anything except for fill out this form. It's so simple.
I can't emphasize enough what you just said. And that's for anything. The ISA, and Dan Beer in his conference said it, I was at his ISA mastermind, is it's a model changer for your split model. Because it really is. You're taking all your leads, let's say you have bad splits or older splits, and you want to kind of bring them back in. The ISA model allows you to control the lead flow. The ISAs convert them, and the agents, convert those leads. And now you're kind of on a more controlled split, and you can control, that. In the same way with processes, it's the exact. If we have this as our main staple, you just fill this out and it's streamlined. You can't deviate. There's no off ramp that you can get lost. Just fill it out. If you fill it out wrong, it won't let you submit it. So it's very black and white. And then whatever you want to tie to it, unlimited, quite literally unlimited, what you can connect it to. Because he uses Wufu Forms, which is the largest, SurveyMonkey is the owner. So they're very integrated with everything. Zapier is our kind of main thing we like to nerd out on, but even inside of FUB, if you're not good at that, you don't need to. It still varies. So you'll see the deals just popped in here. So now I want my deals and reporting. there's no way you can ask your agents to do Sisu and this, but reporting inside of FUB has its own unique abilities with deals. So now that stays accurate for us. You'll see down here, Rachel is the ISA who used to be the agent. She got moved to the collaborator now. The agent who it was set for automatically became the agent here. It was in C stage, but appointments for us are always hot. So now my stages aren't not getting updated, which that's another, just a little detail that always gets missed. The full forms right here, so the agent knows how to prep. And the appointments right here, which means it's on Kyle's Google Calendar right now already for him. The ISA was able to literally with Follow Boss throw it on. So if I go to his Google Calendar right now, we have an appointment tomorrow on it, and I'm already invited, and it's in my inbox right now as well as the client. So that's all automated. No, I don't have to train my 2 new ISAs. I don't have to train them on the appointment setting process, adding it to the Google Calendar, inviting the client, like all these little steps that are very important to the client experience, which I think, you know, you look at Zillow, like that's one of their big staples of what they're focused on is that client experience. So we're kind of mirroring that and like, how do we create a better client experience? But it's always, to what you said, Zach, asking agents to do this thing. Oh, change this. We'll go add that tag so we can send out, you know, the bomb video or whatever it is. Now it's just based off of a form, and we get to create in the back end and make it very much easy for the agents to not miss anything. It also updates the address here on a seller and goes ahead and adds the address up here for them as well.
You could, it's physically impossible to train on all this stuff. Like
it is.
Even you, Chris, as the person who designed this system, if you were trying to do all of these updates and add all of this data in manually without the automation, you would forget it, or you would just say, screw it, I got to make my next call, right?
And then that's really the leadership, you know, conundrum. Like, do I tell my, you know, my best ISA is doing, you know, over 50% more output than any of the other ISAs, but he's also high D as shit. Like he has no tolerance for this. If I ask him to, he would literally say no, and he'll go to the next one because he's here to make money.
Yeah.
I need him to keep it accurate, but it's kind of an oxymoron if I'm, hey, do a bunch of data, make less money, but also I need you to ramp it up and make more and do more calls and do that. So you're kind of saying two things where this completely eliminates that friction, says, hey, just run fast, try to break it, and good luck.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is why it's so brilliant. I went and built the same thing for our sales team because I was like, I need this, and it doesn't exist for software yet. But
and you will see. I'll pull it.
Yeah, let's keep going here.
And I'll show you the disposition. That's the main two, really. Everything else is pretty like standardized for us, but we'll still go into them. So if I go there, I actually didn't delete one of the ones that I had created before. I had a test one in here. So one thing I want to note with Daniel's thing also is I can control what goes into Sisu. Sisu, you guys make it really great that you can add custom fields. Similar to how Follow Up Boss, I can add custom fields. If you guys don't know, in Sisu, you can do the same thing. One of those fields that we find, is it custom or am I making that lead date? Is that custom?
No, I don't think lead date's custom.
Zach, you would know.
It's not. No.
It's not. There's some other ones we definitely add custom to us, but lead date's something we push from the forms to know when the created date, when the lead actually got created. So we're doing it from the CRM and adding it. And the reason that's important is there's a lot of great reports in here, but a lot of them depend on that lead date, and we weren't pushing it in there before. So a lot of our reporting in here wasn't as expansive as we wanted it to be. But you'll see there, all it does add the automatic appointment set date, which now marks that status, puts the ISA there, puts the property address for the seller side, buyer side doesn't have an address. So his forms intuitively know how to set this up exactly precisely how we need it to for our buyer and seller Sisu format, and leaves the rest as blank and adds that transaction amount based off of that appointment form. So that is it for appointment form. That's what it does. It technically goes into our transaction management system. That's not needed, and it's extra stuff that we just do outside of Sisu.
Couple questions here I just want to knock out real quick. On the buyer, are you using the low value or the high value, Daniel? Do you know, or do you pull an average?
It's an average of the two. So if you only enter one value, it will take that value. But if you enter a value in the high and the low, it'll average the two.
You guys thought of everything. Ken is asking, are you manually adding? So I'm assuming he's meaning the link in the custom field. That's pre-populated, right?
Yeah, every time a new lead gets added in the system, it automatically generates those links.
Nice.
And this stuff is super custom. Like all the links are automatically generated, and you'll see in the disposition form, it's pulling from the appointment form that we previously filled out. So that's what's nice about the subsequent forms, is that it's stacked and it's eliminating as many fields as possible not to do duplicate entry. So
yeah, exactly. So like you don't have to put the source in. The source is extracted from Follow Up Boss. The lead date is extracted. Anything we can extract from Follow Up Boss, we extract from Follow Up Boss. So you don't have to enter that data into the form
like
second or third time.
Here, the address, all of that was scraped. I didn't put any of that into the appointment form. All that was scraped out of here.
Love it.
So now the real game really becomes keeping FUB accurate. Back to what I said in the source of truth. If you keep this accurate and it pulls from it, you keep one thing accurate all the time and everything else will follow.
Yeah. Derek says he needs this. That is exactly what I said when I saw this. Jeff is asking, can it trigger tasks or action plans?
It can trigger literally anything in Follow Up Boss.
Stop an action plan.
So right? we can trigger action plans, tasks, any tags you want to add.
Besides calling your boots for you.
We could put any of the form data into custom fields. We could populate the background with the content from the form entry. Pretty much anything in Follow Up Boss could be triggered.
Okay, let's keep it going. I'm sure we'll get more questions, but we can tackle those later. So, appointment set is such a critical part of the sales process.
It's the biggest step for us.
Yep. In my opinion, too. Yep.
And especially with the inside sales model, we ask a lot more questions in the appointment form for them and agents. It's dynamic. So our agents, if they say it's an OSA set appointment, we don't ask a lot of the questions just because we know they're not going to want to fill it out and they're not going to fill it out. So we eliminate some of it, and we are really focused on this for our inside sales as the expansive fields, as far as expansive fields go.
Nice. So
disposition form, if you want to switch to that.
Yeah, let's do it, because just equally as important as process around setting appointments, it's like, well, what happens with those appointments, right? And that's now you're asking for data from the person who went on the appointment, which is the agent who's out in the field, their car, taking calls. Like, how do you
And a lot of people are having their ISA call that person to get information, but I've hired an ISA to do prospecting and create new business, not chase business that's already been created and hand it to the agent. So I have big problems with chasing one ISA chasing 5-10 different agents down. So what's nice about what Dan did here is it automatically sends a text to the agent an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours after the appointment time of the event that was already triggered in the appointment set. So they'll get a text to their phone with a unique link to this disposition form. So even if they don't come in here and do it, they're triggered and they're sent that link into their, and you'll see right here, and we know that it happened. It gives a note so the admin know, hey, you got that link. Now we're going to hold you to going ahead and doing it. When they get that link, whether they do it on their cell phone or they come in here manually after, this is our disposition form. We're actually updating this right now to have a reschedule option, but that's not there today.
Yeah, that should be coming out on Friday, actually. So tomorrow.
So then that'll allow us to, if we already know it needs to be rescheduled, we can go ahead and do that and trigger, again, any of the automations we want, such as the calendar appointment, all of those things. Appointment disposition, did it happen? If it's yes, it's going to ask for the met date, and we'll say it was, the 6th, can't happen in the future. Did they sign a buyer listing agreement? This doesn't actually trigger anything for Sisu, but the way we have it triggered is we have an email go out to all of our key leadership that, oh, it was a Met appointment, had this. Now we have an automation to go hunt them down and ask them to fill out the next form. So even if they're delayed, we get that.
Because you're kicking off a transaction at this point, right? Especially if it's a listing, you've just gone into your, pre-listing phase, right? So, yeah.
And then they'll just recap it and give our agents notes. And then what are the next steps? We're revamping our disposition form right now to be a lot more focused on, is it qualified, not qualified? And then we're going to build a lot of automations into our disposition form. But this is how it is now, how we've been using it for 4 months, and super happy, and it lets us do it. So when I do that, I'll hit submit. Same thing. It's going to put it in the lead record. It's going to update FUB, update Sisu. And actually, that disposition form, Daniel, I think I screwed up. I did it in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Let me fix that. That's why it didn't trigger. There we go. can't outsmart it. So then you go, it's met, leaves in the agent's name. Now in our process, if it didn't meet, we go ahead and back to the automations. If we put didn't meet, it'll actually go ahead and put the agent as the ISA, because in Follow Up Boss for us, the notifications only go to whoever's the agent, not the collaborator. So if it didn't meet for our process, the ISA actually owns that relationship still, because the agents never met them. So we switch those relationships back.
Nice.
And then you'll see Sisu now shows that's a met appointment. So met, not met, very simple. This one, but then we have automations in the back end for us, is we can pull all now, because we have that form record and we have the data. I want to look up all people that have not met that, you know, said they no as an answer that were set this month. And now I can go put all of those people on a drip to re-engage them. So even if, you know, our ISAs are busy, that's something they will do anyway, and they're passed through going through things. But now at a high level, I can have our marketing team and other, you know, resources help really bring the next opportunity to the top of the surface for them. And that's what we use that for.
Can you give a quick view of your Sisu dashboard at high level, or are you saving that for the end?
No, let's go in.
So visualizing this data, and this is, like, in my opinion, the holy grail of reporting is set, met, signed. So notice how Chris can set a date range. He can look at exactly how many conversations are being had. That's pulled from Follow Up Boss. What percent of those conversations, that little 4.8%. So, you know, he knows, hey, if my team calls 100 leads, gets on the phone with 100 leads, we're going to set 5 appointments, right? And you can see the breakdown of buyer versus listing appointments. The next ratios are the show rates. So, you know, so far, what's the show rate on buyer appointments and listing appointments, and all the way down through this, you know, the cycle. So win rate on the listings, right? All that stuff is right there for you to see. So, and then you can click on it, right? So
I was just about to say, that's my favorite part is
click on the 608. 608 buyer appointments set over this date range, right? Well, now let's filter it. Let's say how many of those are now closed, or how many of them are ISA set appointments, right? So you've got that filter drawer in the top right that you could literally filter this for whatever you want, right? You could say, show me which of these are, do any. Yeah, or just one of your ISAs maybe. How many of those 608 appointments were set by this specific ISA? Okay, 50 of them were, right? And there's a whole nother dashboard for ISAs, but this data, like, how many people could say, show me how many appointments we set with Zillow Flex leads and what the win rate was, right? Like, that's, you know, that's big. So
yeah, we use all of these things within Sisu, and that's the whole thing. Is Sisu is such a good tool for us, but it was just, we were just using this, and this wasn't even accurate. I was really using just to motivate and go an individual, but we weren't using it high level. We were just using it basic. But, you know, from leaderboards, you know, we use that a lot now because actually we know that information is accurate. There's actually a couple things I didn't speak of for this that actually will help. The automatic reporting you, Daniel, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Like, so we track all of our conversations and everything like that in this dashboard. That is pulled over from Data Help as well. So that's in real time and as well as end of day aggregated numbers for our conversations. And I think our favorite part is we can actually tell Sisu what to consider a conversation, which I think is the forever long argument in real estate, is what is a conversation. We get to go ahead and identify that. And then there's also connections as well, which Sisu tracks.
If you scroll down on this, you have your other metrics that are being pulled in, which, you know, are,
we pulled.
Yeah, so when a call is logged in Follow Up Boss, it'll automatically log it in Sisu. Email sent in Follow Up Boss automatically logs in Sisu. Texts and lead sources. So when a new contact comes in, that also pulls over into Sisu. And that's just using the CRM. You don't have to do any additional work other than what you're supposed to do in Follow Up Boss to get that data flowing over.
Yeah, let's just hold our accountability. I can't, since this has went up, I mean, we're on a, and I'll show that actually. there's a lot of things I think that are attributing to our upward trends, but there's definitely a pattern. I think I need to go to snapshot here. So this is real numbers. So this is year-over-year trends. This is my favorite board in Sisu altogether. But if you look at our appointments set and met, here's our 2020 and 2019 numbers. I don't believe we're up 200% plus 300%, from 2019, more 500% from 2019. We have the same number of agents. Same thing with appointments set and met. Now we are seeing that our closed and pending is on a straight shot, but really, this is what stands out to me from the forms tracking is they weren't doing it before.
Well, it's so hard to do just for all the reasons that we had already gone over, right? Like there's so many ways that it could go wrong. Yeah.
And it's the year-over-year trends that speaks to it. I mean, we're on a straight shot, but I would say in all accounts, and we can also measure out what our projections are. We're really good about putting those in here and adjusting it monthly so we can see where we need to be based. We missed January and February for our growth goal. So, we have to take care of that the rest of the year. And, but the forms lets us have the relevant conversations with the agents. And now I can go into that dashboard you just said, Zach, and really show the agent at an individual level as well as a team level, because we kind of do team competitions and stuff like that. And you can pull it by those scopes and really see, or at an individual agent level, how are they doing individually at their personal show rates and signed rates. And now our coach is just going in there. What up, Ron?
What's up, Ron? Total numbers dork streams. We're all like, this is so cool, and anyone's like,
and agents don't care, man. They don't, and I don't expect them to. So it's like, how do we get to this same result without being contentious with the highest value people in our team? How do we just support them? And this is the solution for us.
So how's it been received by the agents? I mean, do they just love the forms, or was there any pushback initially? Just how did that whole process go?
It was really easy. Well, we didn't give a choice. That's the only way to submit your listing. So our other two forms are your listing, or your agreement sign, and your new pending. So the forms, we made sure that all of our forms were based that way. So you can't even submit a transaction without it. So it was a little bit forced, but I think better because we were already asking them to do it. It's not anything new. We already had a new listing form because we have a listing management team that handles our listings for our team agents. And then our transaction coordinator handles their pendings. So already we had a jot form, cognito form type setup. The ask was easy. We want you to fill out less fields in your forms because the data is already there. When you set a new agreement form, our new pending form didn't care that you submitted that before. It asked you the same damn stuff again. And now on the agreement form, you put lead sources follow-up, our Boomtown. And then on the pending, you put lead sources Sphere. Now my transaction coordinator is bugging management, asking questions of what to close it as, and the whole thing's dysfunctional. So it was an easy ask because I'm asking you to do less work, and it's a one-click button Amazon-style experience within your CRM. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to look for anything. You don't have to search anything. So it was easily received and easily adapted. And then we gamified it. That was for the last half. The first half, the appointment and the disposition form, the ISA appointments reinforced it for the disposition form because they badger them like, hey, it's my appointment. You have to do disposition or you're not eligible for appointments. So there's consequences to not doing it. So that reinforced it. But the biggest thing that got adoption, we did competitions, and Sisu does a really great job of letting us create custom competitions. So that's what we did is we did so many points for appointments set, appointments met, signed, and just signed, set, met, and signed. So we did a competition. We included our ISAs. We did 4 regions. So we did our Northeast, South, and West groups because we cover all of San Diego. And then we put an ISA with each group because those are kind of our administrative salespeople, as I call them. They're our internal, they know all the stuff we want. So now they're kind of influencing the agents and selling them on this better than I could myself. And so I think all those little elements added to it, but competition would be the number one. Everyone wants to be a winner in sales. And so we picked the overall team that had the largest amount of points based on set, met, and signed. So if you're filling out the forms, you're getting points, therefore you're getting the reward.
Did you do like a full-on contest in Sisu with the point system and everything, or how'd you run that?
We kind of did. Truthfully, I had to back out because we did so many overlaid metrics. We just did each metric as its own competition, and then we took all of those 3 competitions out and overlaid them.
Cool. I've been talking, a lot of people who use Sisu at a high level, they like to, because it's only so much fun when, it's every agent a free for all. You're going to have your typical 2-3 rock stars that are going to dominate, right? Yes, love that.
Robbie T shared. I mean, that's the thing, is Sisu is this. It allows you to give a transparent dashboard for your agents to rally them and get them rallied around the right things, and competition just adds to that excitement for them. So now the data's fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Daniel, you want to add anything, man? Like you're the mastermind behind this stuff. So what do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, our main goal is to just make work disappear for the agents. Like, I used to be an agent, so I used to have to fill out this stuff and do the reporting. And when you're in a sales role, all you want to do is talk to the next person, close the next deal. You don't want to deal with this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, ISAs are easy because they immediately see the benefit. OSAs are a little more challenging because OSAs are just challenging in general. But once they start using it and realize that it makes their lives easier, then it becomes easier and easier. And then as I get feedback from agents on what to update to make it even easier, then the system just gets better and better. So yeah, I mean, so far we've got a lot of good feedback.
Talk to us about the embedded app, because I know you're working on some stuff there. What's the thought process there? What are you thinking it'll do?
Yeah, so we're working on an embedded app. There's two different things we're going to use that for. One is kind of a scaled down version of the form. So, if you're like a single agent and you don't, feel like you need this series of forms, we're going to have an embedded app that just has like the bare minimum of questions, which will be a little bit less expensive. And the other thing we're going to use it for is to kind of combine with the form. So instead of putting the form links in custom fields, the form links will be in the embedded app. So you'll click on the link from there. And that opens up some additional possibilities because, now we're limited. We don't want 1 million different custom fields using, we don't want to use 1 million different custom fields for these links. So it limits the number of deals we can put for each lead record. But once we have the embedded app, we can put as many different links as we want in there. So it'll open up the possibilities. And we're going to pre-populate a lot more of the fields that way too.
Love it.
So that way, when you pull up the form, when you fill out the appointment form and put the address in, then when you go to the agreement sign form, the address is there in the form, so you can see what's been filled out previously. So that'll simplify things as well.
Stuff. Cool. I'm just trying to make sure I get all these questions.
I want to ask about the transaction management.
Yeah. So to talk us through your TM process, Chris.
I think it's really important, back to FUB being our source of truth, that you can bolt on anything. Us personally, we have a pretty complex situation. So we actually went to Monday, but we're actually moving off of Monday and moving over to open to close. And Daniel's connecting that for us directly with them. So that'll be live in the next several weeks to months. We'll be able to actually connect these forms. But it doesn't matter is the real answer. Is the forms are basically, they house the information you need. And the forms have the ability to connect to whatever you want. So whether you manage a transaction in a Google Sheet, you can push it there, or you manage it in Sisu. Sisu has great API. You can push it into their I shouldn't speak before I know. Do you have API for transaction management? I'm sure you guys already do.
Yep, we do.
So you push it right to that, or Monday, or open to whatever it is that you want to do. It has the ability. It's just hosting the information, and it's a matter of partnering with a company for the transaction management that allows you to push information in through an API like that.
Yeah, and we can use the forms easily connect to Zapier. So any app that Zapier connects to, we can push data into. And then even if the app doesn't connect to Zapier, we can build integrations on Amazon Web Services. So pretty much any app that has API, we can push the data into.
Yeah. It's it's awesome when you see all this come together. It's actually pretty easy to set up. Like you just go to Daniel, you fill out, you tell them what you want on the form and what you want the form to do, and they get to work on building it, right? So you don't have to even know how to do a dang thing in Zapier to get this set up. If you're working with Daniel now, you're basically building a Ferrari for your sales system, right? So you're not kind of just clicking a button. Like it does take a little more thought and a little more planning out, right? So for example, you start thinking through scenarios like, if a disposition form comes back and it's a no-show, what do I want to happen? And you can collaborate on that with Daniel's team, right? So that would be my advice to anyone who is looking to do something like this. Is the technical stuff, you work with Daniel's team, but you've really got to be ready to put that dedication into your sales process to say, we're going to build this thing out exactly how it should be, and it's going to save you a lot of time going forward, right? But
it can evolve too. Like you don't need to know exactly what you want your sales process to be day one. So
right.
If you know right now I need this action plan triggered when the appointment is set, and I need this action plan triggered when an appointment is met, and you have some of the stuff, but you don't know everything that's going to need to happen. We can implement the stuff now, and then as you use the forms and a couple months go by and you come up with new ideas of what needs to be automated and triggered, then you just shoot me an email and say, hey, can we add this to the forms and this automation and push the data here, and then we'll update it and dial it in.
What if I'm like, man, Whissel's stuff, Chris's stuff looks pretty dang awesome. Can I just start there, right? Is that a possibility, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a process to implement that. There's a little, like most teams,
we built a lot of our own stuff too on top of it.
Yeah. So most teams, we have a transaction form that covers the agreement signed, pending, and closed stages. With the Whissel team, we've split that into 3 separate forms because they're asking so many questions from their agents that they just didn't fit on the forms. But yeah, most teams you probably want to build up to that. That makes sense if you're doing 400, 500 transactions a year, and you have someone like Chris there to ensure everything gets done. But it's probably better for most teams to gradually get to that point.
Yeah, agreed. I think if you start off with data help, you get just the core forms in there, and those feeding into Sisu. You're going to have better reporting than 90% of the people in the industry. You're going to eliminate your headache because you've just basically eliminated training agents on the system. All you have to do is show them how to use a form, and you don't have to train them on really anything else, right? Because you control everything that happens after that form. So you're going to simplify your life a ton. You're probably going to kill some spreadsheets while you're at it, and you're going to use your CRM the way that you always wanted it to be used. And there are so many studies out there that show, I think it was like a 1% increase in engagement with your CRM is going to lead to like 0.5% increase in just straight up revenue, right? So there is tons of value in using your CRM the right way. It's hard to make it happen. You have to put this kind of effort in to make it happen, in my opinion.
I think there's one thing I just add, and I'm thinking about as we're doing, is like I think about how many times I go looking for trouble in the CRM, like just as a leader. I'm just looking for issues to point out to people in the free time. But like I think everyone does that. Like you're always like, where's the opportunity at? Like what's going on in here? Maybe I'm alone in that, but I think that's pretty normal. But our hourly rate, when you're in or your managers that you pay or your director of sales, like if they're looking for the issue to coach, that's their time compounded with the loss of efficiency of the agent. Like it's a compounding effect.
Yeah.
Where if your leadership can go in and just see these numbers in the Sisu dashboard, now you're just looking for things that stand outside that median average. If everyone else is at a 70% show rate, and now all of a sudden I see, and I'm looking at these weekly, and I see there's a big downtick. I go through the agents, I see, someone has 0 for 4, and they're dragging the whole thing down. Let's go have a talk. Now I know exactly. I don't have to go peruse through the CRM to find that information. And the other part of it that's helped us is if you're partnered with OpCity, HomeLight, FastX, or any of these referral-based companies, their one requirement, Zillow Flex, like they want updates from the CRM, but they don't integrate with the CRM. So you're asking your agents to go and update the notes and the status and all those things. Now we can pull a report from Sisu once a week and have our VA and our leads manager go through and update all of those portals based off of the new staged activity inside of Sisu, because you guys use a unique date of when that activity happened. So now they're pulling all those reports, and it's got us our unfair share of these portal referral leads, because we just look better because it looks like our agents are 100% updating everything. Where in reality, we're just able to automate it so our agents can just go sell real estate.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
Well, cool. We're running up on time here, so thanks. We covered a lot, but I think especially like on the Sisu reporting side, like we only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
We go a lot deeper on lead source ROI and lead source conversion and all that stuff. But
this makes us get the most out of Sisu and everything you guys are doing. This allowed us to get all of those reports to be what we wanted them to be.
I'm going to drop some links here. If you're looking at Sisu, you want to go to sisu.co/demo. DataHelp, was it datahelp.io, right, Daniel?
Yeah, datahelp.io.
Perfect. And Chris, how do we follow along? Like, I know you guys have some mastermind groups and different things, or like
the Whissel Way on Facebook.
Whissel Way.
Yeah,
cool.
And we have a YouTube series coming out for some of this stuff as well, and then our Media Mayor, which is a little off this, is a series that starts I think this week actually. Brian and Kyle are rolling that out.
Well, love following along with you guys, and I think this is just an amazing system that you've built out and made your life easier and made your agent's life easier. And I mean, you have some pretty damn good reporting. So, yeah. All right. Anything else before we hang up here?
No, that's all of it.
Yep.
Get under the hood.
Yeah. I gotta go make sure this dog of mine is staying alive. So we'll call it good. And thanks everyone for hopping on.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.